So Sonic X Shadow Generations has been out for almost 3 weeks at this time of recording, and the reception for this game has been positive all across the board. Hell, it even got a 9 out of 10 from IGN, which shouldn't really mean much given it's IGN, but still, that's amazing. But honestly, this game deserves all the praise it's getting and then some. So I figured after beating the game twice, once during the early access, and again just recently getting footage, I think it's about time I put my 2 cents to the well for this game. So strap in, folks, because I've got a lot to say. So it seems Sonic Team saw the overall positive reception from the more serious attempts with storytelling for Sonic Frontiers and went all in for not just the story of this game, but its animated prequel series Dark Beginnings as well. Which, if you haven't seen it already, you should probably watch it after this video. Which, we should probably hit the like and subscribe button while you're down there as well. You know, help out the channel a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, the story opens up on the arc 50 years ago on the day that Shadow was deemed complete, showing us Maria's infectious excitement to finally meet him, and as he opens his eyes, we get this smooth transition to the present day where Shadow is revealed to be investigating some strange readings that GUN picked up, even though like Dark Beginnings said it was because he had a bad feeling, but you know, it's whatever. And after a quick chat with Rouge the Bat, Shadow stumbles upon some weird distorted space that he decides to investigate and discovers that Black Doom has somehow revived himself, but before Shadow can question him, he retreats and Shadow is left back on the arc where he finds the fake emerald that Tails had made and is then brought into white space by the Time Eater. Like Sonic though, he doesn't turn into a statue, and to my surprise, Omega is here as well, unaffected. Probably because he's a robot, but honestly, who knows. By the way, I love all the conversations we can have with him, like whenever we talk to him in the game. I love how they range from him being pissed that he was brought here because he was trying to destroy more of Eggman's stuff, to him showing appreciation for both Shadow and Rouge, pondering on whether he can defeat Metal Sonic or the real Sonic, and if that would prove him to be the most powerful robot. And honestly, one of the like sweetest options is him basically offering to protect Maria as Shadow continues to restore the timeline. God, I love this robot, man. Anyway, Shadow decides to continue investigating further and inadvertently activates his new Doom powers, which he begins to question before being distracted by a familiar figure in the distance. And after some pondering whether it's a hallucination or not, he decides to move forward to make more sense of the situation and, as he puts it, not chase dreams. As he explores more of white space, Black Doom then approaches him and tells him his plan to revive the Black Arms and consumes the world, which Shadow obviously doesn't take too well. Of course, even after Shadow's assault, Black Doom isn't really affected and tells Shadow that once he's perfected, then his plans can truly begin, and dips before being axed about 50 plus years of child support. Father of the Year, everybody. After some more exploring and clearing status, Shadow encounters that Big the fucking cat. I mean, he doesn't do anything for the story overall, but honestly, he's a welcome surprise. Especially since he doesn't make an appearance in the base game at all for some reason. Plus, look at the smile Shadow gives this dude. Also, I love that one of the conversations with Big is him basically confirming that all the cameos in SA2 were in fact a canon, and that's actually hilarious to me. Continuing forward, after he restores Sunset Heights to the timeline, he notices a figure being chased by some foot soldiers from the Black Arms, and with no hesitation, he jumps in to save the person, utterly decimating the soldiers like the goat he is. Upon defeating the soldiers, he looks at the person, and to his shock, it's Maria from a previous point in time before she was, you know. Not only is she here, but so is Professor Gerald, who thanks Shadow for coming to Maria's age, which in turn leads her to questioning where Shadow actually learned to fight like that. Though Shadow seemingly hears none of this as he's deep in thought, trying to think if this is the way he could save them from their fates and potentially change the future. Maria then asks Shadow if he's truly okay, to which he reassures her everything is fine. It's not, and that he'll take care of everything before rushing off to face Mellow Overlord. Upon returning to white space and meeting back up with Maria and Gerald, where he mentions feeling a connection to the giant black arm symbol in the sky. Gerald surmises this to be because of his deal to use Black Doom's DNA in the creation of Shadow, and honestly feels regret for trying to make such a deal to cure Maria's illness, that Shadow now has to deal with the consequences of this. And honestly, I don't blame him for making this deal, since he was at the limits of any other possible option. And obviously, he made plans to get rid of the Black Arms whenever they came back. Plus, once we learn more about the extent of Maria's illness, like on her worst days, she literally becomes blind and loses the ability to think. Yeah, no, I don't blame him at all for trying to cure it in any possible way. No child touch suffer like this. Gerald then goes on to explain how all of this seems to be part of Black Doom's plan to use Shadow by having him unlock these abilities to deepen their connection and either take over his mind or take Shadow's body as his own. But Shadow, being him, states that Gerald made the ultimate life form, that he vows to claim these new abilities as his own. Then as Shadow continues his journey through white space, he encounters Sonic the fucking Hedgehog. But as Shadow continues his journey through white space, he encounters Sonic, who is of course collecting the emeralds to fight against the Time Eater. And since Shadow has a yellow emerald, he tries to talk Shadow to let him use it, to which of course Shadow states he has his own agenda to complete first with the emerald. And after some witty banter between the two, a portal appears and they both race through it to duke it out on the space colony arc. Of course, Shadow loses the fight canonically, but honestly, it kind of seems like he throws it here on purpose. Like, he doesn't even fight back at all during this cutscene, and we know very well he and Sonic are complete equals in every regard. Yet, when he gets the chance to go on the offensive, he doesn't. Mostly in part to him not wanting to use his new powers, as he feels like it's cheating in a sense. Can I just say how much I love this cutscene though, and that it shows that even though Shadow doesn't like Sonic, he still holds high enough respect for him that he'd rather they fight on equal terms more than anything. But even though he lost, he reveals that Sonic only took the fake Chaos Emerald he got from the Arc, and that he'll have Rouge switch them out after he gets rid of Black Doom. Shadow once again regroups with Maria and Gerald, though this time they have a surprise guest with them.
Hey, what's up? It's me! Stop!
Doom then begins his whole spiel of trying to use Shadow again, only for Maria to step up and call him out on his BS. See, me personally, Doom, I wouldn't let a sick preteen girl do this to me, but that's just me though. But Doom insists that Shadow is still Black Arms, despite his appearance, and that he's a warrior and destroyer just like them. To which Shadow spins that back on him by claiming that he will be his destroyer. But bro, Doom has comebacks today, as he just chuckles and states that he's learned since their last encounter and that Shadow will be his. And then dips, leaving Shadow understandably pissed. Like, bro, look at how he stomps up to Gerald, demanding an answer for what he thinks Black Doom means by this. Gerald surmises that even though Shadow has defeated Black Doom, he's been somehow able to get back a new body and use his powers to control white space to accelerate his plans right to where they need to be, to which Shadow does not take lightly. But yet again, Maria steps up to be his emotional rock, and manages to pacify him with a beautiful speech and gets him to think clearly so he can keep moving forward.
Shadow, ダメ。
マリア。
怒りに満ちたあなたを見ると心が痛むの。こんなのシャドウじゃない。なぜシャドウと名付けたかわかる？闇はただ暗いだけ、光も何もない。でも影は光が差す方向を教えてくれる。わかるでしょ？あなたには暗闇に染まってほしくないの。幸せになってほしいのよ。平和な光で心を満たしてほしいの。
Yeah, I can see why Gerald and Shadow crash out over her death. This is just too damn pure. Though the moment doesn't last long, however, as once Shadow unlocks his last power, the Doom Wings, Black Doom has now achieved his full power as well, and beckons Shadow to come face him so he can become the perfect being. But before Shadow goes out to face Black Doom, Gerald apologizes to Shadow for having him go down this path because of him, but even so, he's proud of him. And he calls him his son, bro. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Hard. Though Maria rushes forward, seemingly still worried, only for Shadow to stop her and reassure her that everything is fine.
大丈夫だ、マリア。もう怒りに身を任せたりはしない。でも僕は戦う。君の願いを叶えるために、全ての人に幸せになるチャンスを与えるために。
And after a gentle smile, he lets go of Maria and nods to Gerald before departing off to go and face his destiny. And after an epic battle with a new edition of All Hail Shadow banging in our ears, Shadow defeats Neo Devil Doom, taking destiny into his own hands. And after the battle, Rouge appears by his side saying that Sonic needs a real emerald quickly, and after getting it, heads to battle while Shadow meets with Maria and Gerald for the last time. As they begin to fade away, Shadow gets desperate and tries to rush off so he can get back the emerald to use Chaos Control and try to save them, but Maria once again stops him, telling them that they don't want to be stuck in time forever, frozen at just one point in time, and she knows the world needs him.
こっちのみんなを助けてあげて。
君はこれから何が起こるか知らないんだ。
きっとまた会えるわ。運命が私たちを引き裂いてもいつだって心の中に。
マリア、待ってくれ。
I promise you, I took the scene like a champ during both my playthroughs. God damn it! Where's my gun? Where's my gun? I've been here all today.
What you
God
need
damn.
the gun for, bro?
It's gonna go a certain area in my body. But as Shadow races off to Sonic's aid, a single tear falls from his face, landing upon Rouge's cheek. And she smiles, knowing that he's hurting, but that now he can actually move on. And the game then goes to a close. Then they play the final chase music for some reason. Why? This would have been a perfect time for Without You, bro. Like, God, that takes me out. That's just so much emotional whiplash. Holy fuck. It's definitely one of the shorter stories in the mainline Sonic games, but it doesn't stop it from being jam-packed with themes, meaningful character interactions, heartwarming moments to gut-wrenching ones, just like some of the older Sonic games. This game truly feels like it's trying to build off of what Shadow 2005 laid out, with Shadow trying to throw away his past, but instead, here he embraces it. He conquers it. And he also gets the closure he needs with Maria and Gerald. They all lay out their emotions on the table for each other. There's no last-minute pleas or a mission being passed down. Only the love they truly have for each other, and knowing that even though their past won't be aligned anymore, there'll always be a shadow in his heart as he keeps moving forward, doing what not Maria thinks or Gerald thinks, but what he thinks is right. It's beautiful. I'm glad we're getting back to the point where we can have these type of stories in these Sonic games. But it's not just the story that was cooking throughout this whole game. Okay, so I didn't put this in my original script for this review, but I feel like it needs to be talked about because the English voice acting for this game is pretty good, not gonna lie. Like, I think Kirk is obviously the standout performance here. His improvement with Shadow is insane. Like, I know he talked about this in an interview, like how he didn't understand Shadow at first because Sega or Sonic Team wouldn't allow him to research the character. But obviously they changed that because, dude, oh my god, his delivery throughout this entire game is beautiful, dude. Like, I love his screams of pain here whenever he gets the power-ups for the Doom powers. Because obviously this looks painful. Like, obviously this is painful as all hell. And those screams project that. But I also love his gentle tone whenever Shadow is addressing Maria. Especially in the cutscene before he fights Neo Devil Doom. And, of course, the ending cutscene. Like, he sounds so freaking desperate in that ending cutscene, dude. Oh my god, it's beautiful. And also, shout out to Roger, dude. Like, I actually did enjoy most of his performance of Sonic here. At least in the new Shadow Gen stuff. I did play the original, like, Shadow Generations as well. I'm not going to talk about that in this video at all. But honestly, his few lines that he had in Shadow Generations, I think is, like, him selling into his own Sonic here. Like, it still has some of that annoying high-pitchedness that he has, and, like, when he usually plays Sonic. But it also has some of that Frontiers gruffness mixed in, you know what I'm saying? So he sounds older, more mature, but he still has that cocky energy, especially in that final line delivery after his battle with Shadow in the cutscene. I feel like that is a perfect starting point for his Sonic, and honestly, it should be kept going from there on.
I found you! Shadow, thing I need.
You can wait until my business is finished.
Yeah, sorry, but that Chaos Emerald and I have a date with a monster. Nice hustle, but I won this one. So I'm taking the emerald. See ya!
Of course, Gerald and Maria are pretty good. I can't really say anything about them. They're just good all around. But Rouge, Can we get like a different person for Rouge at this point? Because I can't stand hearing this woman's voice coming out of her mouth, bro. Oh my god. Makes me just want to choke her, bro. She didn't sound like a sultry spy like she's supposed to be. But she sounds like one of those angry Karens you hear at like almost every fast food place. And it makes me just want to slap her across the face. I can't stand it. Honestly, I love the English cast. They did a fantastic job with this game. I hope to see all of this going forward and seeing Rouge replaced. Sorry, but yeah. Now we can actually talk about the gameplay here. So not only does Sonic Team decide to cook up an amazing story, but they decided to cook up some of the greatest gameplay in any Sonic game, period. But let's go over the basics such as how Shadow controls. Which is to say he controls almost exactly like Sonic. Shocker, I know. But alongside the boost and homing attack, which has a cool animation of him doing the chaos snap when he's attacking enemies, but when he's not doing that, he goes into a ball, which I find neat. He has his own unique moves that set him apart from Sonic, those being the Chaos Spears, Chaos Control, and the Doom Spears. So let's get started with the Chaos Spears, because you'll be using these the most, especially if you're trying to speedrun, which I'll get into later. So by tapping the Y button, Shadow will fire out his signature Chaos projectile, stunning enemies on contact, or triggering any levers he can't reach. I mean, it sounds pretty basic, but here's the kicker. If you use a Chaos Spear in the air, you'll keep all of your forward momentum from whatever you're doing. So if you combine this with your air boost and your double jump, you'll be able to do some insane skips using just this. In fact, honestly, I suggest you change this button just for it to be something more accessible, as you'll be using this way too often. But besides that, Shadow also has the ability to use Chaos Control. So once you fill up this meter down here with either Chaos Control Capsule, collecting rings, or defeating enemies, you can use Chaos Control to stop time for about 5 seconds. And that's it. Obviously, you can use Chaos Control to find newer pathways for shortcuts throughout the level, or if you mess up a section, so you can always use Chaos Control to try to make up the lost time, since the timer freezes while Chaos Control is active. And that's kind of about it, honestly. Like, at the time of me recording this, I haven't heard of anything particularly groundbreaking with Chaos Control. And yeah, so Shadow also has the new Doom powers that add to his arsenal for this game as well, and I mean, they're there. So let's start from the top with the Doom Spears, which serve as a direct power up to the Chaos Spears, allowing Shadow to hit multiple targets all at once. And honestly, this Doom power you'll probably end up using the most since it's linked to the Chaos Spear, and also for the fact that just about every level has a section where you have to deal with either multiple enemies or target multiple switches to get rid of obstacles in your path. Next up is the Doom Blast, which serves as a power up to Shadow's homing attack, where Shadow thrashes his target, kicks them into the air, and sends them flying whichever direction you aim towards. It's honestly a pretty useful move as well, and once again, offers some insane skip potential, but sadly it's limited to just black arm soldiers, which I feel lessens its value, but it's still good overall. Then next up is the Doom Surf, which I'm not even gonna lie to you, you'll barely be using the entire playthrough. Not because it controls terribly or anything like that. In fact, I believe it controls perfectly, and honestly haven't run into any issues since using it. No, I just mean that in the sense the game never really gives you a ton of situations where you use it. Outside of like Kingdom Valley, the Metal Overlord boss fight, some parts of Sunset Heights, and the open zone, you're not really using this one. But now onto what I believe is a lot of people's least favorite Doom power, the Doom Morph. So I'm sure everyone has noticed the purple goo that spreads out some areas of the open zone and throughout some later levels. But by homing attacking these orbs, you'll transform into the Doom form that allows you to travel through this purple goo and even use balls of it to grapple your way over hazards and into higher routes. So I think everyone can kind of agree that they hated this form at first, and that's because the game doesn't really explain this one as well as the other Doom powers. For instance, did you know you don't have to just swing with the Doom form? So if you let go of the homing attack button, you'll actually zip forward through the wall, and if you wait until you're directly under it, you can just let go and then you'll go straight up and be able to get some of the better routes, especially on Chaos Island. It definitely has the steepest learning curve because of this, but honestly, once you get a good handle on the Doom Morph, it becomes one of the better power-ups in the game. And finally, we have our last Doom power that we get right before we face off against Black Doom, the Doom Wings. I mean, there really isn't much to say. It gives you the ability to glide, invincibility, and an unlimited boost when you're not flying at the cost of 50 rings to activate it, basically making it Shadow's equivalent of the super form for this game. All in all, I like the way Shadow handles in this game, and despite all the new powers, none of them feel very intrusive, especially with just a little bit of practice. It all just feels so natural, especially with the beautiful level design throughout all the stages. Speaking of which, seems we're going forward with the Frontiers design for Sonic games, with us exploring the open zone in this game, white space, and selecting a stage with 2 acts within each. So I'll say this right now, I like white space as an open zone, but I honestly prefer the Starfield Islands in Sonic Frontiers, and especially, and this might just be me, but Sonic feels more fun to control in the Starfield Islands compared to Shadow, but again, that's probably just me. Still though, I love the stages available to us in this game. We got the Space Colony arc for SA2, Rail Canyon for Sonic Heroes, Kingdom Valley for Sonic 06, Sunset Heights for Sonic Forces, Chaos Island for Sonic Frontiers, and finally, Radical Highway. Surprisingly, no stages from Shadow's on game in this though, which is kinda weird. I mean, I guess they thought they would have had too many city levels if they included Westopolis, but Chaos Island is still weird. Like, does Shadow visit the Starfall Islands once Sonic returns to them, or does he just have that good of an imagination in the future that the Time Eater and Doom just shrugged and let it slide? Even with the weird choice of levels, that doesn't stop any of them from being the best boost levels to exist since Unleashed, again, in my opinion. So let's start off with Space Colony Arc, which serves our introductory stage for the game, and I have to say, it strikes that perfect balance between easy enough to get you in how the game wants you to play, and having just enough difficulty to want you to come back once you have a better handle of the game. This is also the stage to introduce the use of the Chaos Control mechanic, and they for sure try to drill it into you, that whenever you see that meteor get maxed, to be on the lookout for any opportunities to use it. Especially for these in-game action sequences that don't break the pace of the level in the slightest, and scratches that shown it's just right. Act 2 follows up with some very good 2D platforming, honestly, and with more unique uses of the Chaos Control mechanic and also giving us the smallest taste of the Doom Wings. All in all, Space Colony Arc, an amazing starting stage and sets the bar high for the rest of the levels up to come. Now up next is Rail Canyon, which is still a good stage, but I feel like it's one of the weaker stages, especially Act 1 because of how on rails it feels. No, wait, don't go. But it still doesn't disappoint in terms of high octane action and some pretty nice set pieces. Act 2 definitely sets it up a bit and is probably my favorite act for Rail Canyon. Like, don't get me wrong, this act feels just as on rails as Act 1, but I don't know, something just hits different for this act for me. As a whole, Rail Canyon is still really good, but the next couple of stages definitely outshine it. Especially Kingdom Valley. This is where everything about this game really started clicking for me. Like, I can't even cap, this stage is so damn good. This is when the game really starts to open up in terms of level design. Like, honestly, if you think anything is an alternate pathway, it more than likely is. So go ahead and try to take it. Not to mention, if you know how to do the Chaos Spear tech, you can abuse it to all hell and back here to make some amazing skips to get that best time rate as high as possible. Oh, yeah, the Doom Surf is also here. It has a nice section dedicated to it. Yeah, if you couldn't tell, this is probably my favorite first act in the game. And that, even though that subject can change as I get better at the game. Speaking of acts, Act 2 is also really good. It's not my definitive favorite of the second act, but it's still damn good. Now, the next 2 stages are kind of weird inclusions to me, but I'd be lying if I say they didn't bang. Especially Sunset Heights. Like, I'll say this right now, both acts of this stage are infinitely better than any of the stages of Sonic Forces, and that is like an irrefutable fact. The remix soundtracks are amazing as well, but the level design, and especially the in-game cutscenes for this level, are just stellar. Speaking of that, I love that the Death Egg robots are actually interacting with us while we go through both acts, since we're still in the middle of the war against Eggman in the events of the stage. This already would have bumped the level up alone for me, but of course they just had to give these stages such good level design to show how great these levels should have been in their original game. Then we got Chaos Island. I'll tell you this now, this level does not hold your hand. Like, this level on your first playthrough will be a definite challenge. That's mostly because of the Doom Morph. In fact, that's what made me so iffy about the stage in my first playthrough, but since getting a better understanding of the Doom Morph, I've actually really come to enjoy the stage. Act 2 is still a bit of a challenge for me, but I can't lie and say this stage is trash because of it. Both acts are definitely ones that become better through repeated attempts, and that's one of the many things I love in a Sonic game, so to me, this is just fine, and I'll probably grow to love these stages even more once I get a better handle on them. Alright, so I know we meme about like how much Doom loves Radical Highway, but honestly, I kind of don't blame him. Like, I've got to admit, this might be my favorite like final level in Sonic history, like up there with Eggman Land to me. It has some different alternate routes, and while the game really wants you to use the Doom Wings as much as possible at this stage, you can do both acts wingless and still get an S rank with enough skill. And that type of level design where I'm not forced to use a singular mechanic or just rely on one thing to get me through a stage is what makes peak Sonic, and there's no denying that. Then the boss fights themselves are beautiful, and I could go on and on about so much more with this game, but honestly, I kind of want to get back to playing it ASAP, so I'll give my closing statements here. Shadow Generations isn't just a great game. It's a huge leap forward in the right direction for every following Sonic game ever. In my opinion, with this focus on the heartbreaking journey of moving on and embracing the past, with stellar gameplay shows that Sonic Team can and is willing to keep improving to give us the best quality products that we deserve. If every game can at least be as close to this one, then I'm all in for it.